The first time I saw him standing in my daughter's kitchen, slicing tomatoes with his back to me, the floor tilted beneath my feet. It wasn't his kindness to Emma that stopped my breath. It was the birthmark. That rust-colored constellation just below his left ear, shaped like a broken star. The same birthmark I'd kissed 1,000 times on my baby boy's neck before they took him from me 32 years ago. Emma was glowing. 28, finally happy after years of heartbreak. She'd met Daniel 6 months ago at a conference in Austin. Now they were engaged, planning a spring wedding, talking about babies and the house they'd just bought together in the suburbs. "Mom?" Emma's voice cut through the fog. "You okay? You look like you've seen a ghost." I was. "I'm fine, baby," I lied. "Just tired from the drive." Daniel turned then, extending his hand. "Mrs. Richardson, it's so good to finally meet you properly." When I looked into his eyes, I saw my own eyes staring back. The same almond shape. The same way the left one sat slightly lower than the right. That night I couldn't sleep. The memories came flooding back. I was 17 when I got pregnant. My mother had died 2 years before, and my father made it clear what would happen if I kept that baby. The boy's father had already left town with his football scholarship, pretending I didn't exist. I went to the home for unwed mothers. Carried my son for 9 months, singing to him late at night. Then on a cold November morning, I gave birth. They let me hold him for exactly 3 minutes, long enough to memorize his face, to kiss that birthmark, to whisper promises I couldn't keep. Then they took him away, closed adoption. I would never see him again. Better this way, they said. For everyone. I tried to move on. College, career in social work, marriage at 30. We had Emma 2 years later. Her father left when she was 10, said I was too intense, too haunted. And now here was my son. I was certain, engaged to my daughter. I searched online that night. Can half-siblings marry without knowing? The results made my stomach turn. Stories of accidental incest, of DNA tests revealing horrors at family reunions. The next morning, I interrupted Emma's wedding planning. "I need you to do something for me. I need you and Daniel to take a DNA test." She looked up slowly. "What?" "A DNA test. One of those ancestry ones." "Mom, what are you talking about?" "Please, Emma, just trust me." She stared at me like I'd lost my mind. "Are you seriously asking us to take a DNA test before we get married?" "Mom, that's insane." "I know how it sounds. Do you think he's lying about something? What is this really about?" I couldn't tell her. Not without proof. "Just humor me. Please." She called me crazy that day. Those exact words. "You're being crazy, Mom." Like, legitimately unhinged. She said I was jealous of her happiness, projecting my trauma onto her relationship. Daniel agreed to the test to keep peace. They ordered 2 kits that evening, laughing about it, treating it like a joke. I didn't sleep for 4 weeks while we waited. Emma barely spoke to me. The results came back on a Thursday. My hands shook as I logged in. The words were clinical, devastating in their precision. Daniel wasn't just anyone. He was my son. And Emma was planning to marry him in 4 months. Sometimes the truth doesn't set you free. Sometimes it buries you alive. I called Emma from my office, door locked, hands trembling. She answered with that clipped tone. "What, Mom?" "The results came back. You need to come to my office, both of you, right now." 45 minutes later, they stood in my office. Emma looked angry. Daniel looked confused. "Sit down," I said. "Mom, just tell us." "Sit. Down." They sat. Daniel reached for Emma's hand automatically. "The DNA test shows you two share 25% of your DNA." Emma laughed. "What?" "Mom, that's impossible. I had a baby when I was 17. A boy. I gave him up for adoption, November 15th, 1993. St. Mary's Hospital in Galveston, Texas. I looked at Daniel. You were born November 15th, 1993, weren't you? He nodded slowly. I pulled up my sleeve, revealing my tattoo. 11/15/93. I got this on your 18th birthday, because I never forgot. Daniel's hand went to his neck, to that birthmark. My adoptive mother always said it was special. I used to kiss it every night, I whispered, before they took you away. The sound Emma made wasn't quite a scream, wasn't quite a sob. She slid down the wall until she was sitting on the floor, knees to chest. We were going to have babies, she said hollowly. How could this happen? Closed adoption, I said through tears. I had no way to find him. You met at a random conference. What were the odds? Daniel looked between us, pale. So Emma is my half-sister. You're my biological mother. We've been... He couldn't finish. The silence had weight. Outside, phones rang. People talked. Doors closed. The world continued. But inside this room, everything had ended. How do we fix this? Emma whispered. You don't, I said. You can't. You have to end the engagement. The genetic risks alone. Stop, Daniel said, standing. I need to get out of here. He walked out. Emma and I sat in the silence he left. I was going to wear Grandma's dress, Emma said finally. Now it's all gone. She left without looking at me. The next morning, Emma texted, I'll never forgive you for this. Sometimes doing the right thing feels exactly like doing the wrong thing. Sometimes saving people looks like destroying them. But at least now they knew. At least now they could make informed choices, even if those choices broke their hearts. If you've ever carried a secret that destroyed everything, subscribe and tell me what city you're listening from. Because what happened next changed all of us forever. The wedding venue called me instead of Emma. The woman was apologetic, confused about the cancellation. I told her to keep the $4,000 deposit. What else could I do? Call it the price of preventing genetic disaster? Emma's best friend Rachel called on Tuesday. What did you do? Emma won't talk to anyone. She's not eating. Daniel moved out. What happened? It's complicated. They were perfect together, and now their entire friend group is split down the middle. So tell me what's so complicated. I can't. It's not my story to tell. Then whose is it? After she hung up, I sat with that question. Whose story was it? Emma wouldn't tell it. Daniel wouldn't tell it. And I was the only one who knew everything. Emma had shown up at my house one rainy night, soaked, shaking. Did you ever love him? Daniel? When you were pregnant? Did you love him? Or was he just a mistake? I loved him so much it felt like dying when they took him away. And now? What do you feel now? Grateful he exists. Grateful he became a good man. And so sorry I caused you this pain. She'd turned and walked into the rain without another word. Daniel called at 2 a.m. 3 weeks later. I need to know everything. About my birth. About you. About why. So I told him. All of it. About being 17 and scared. About his father, Marcus, the football player who left for college and never looked back. About my father's ultimatum. About the home for unwed mothers. I held you for 3 minutes, I said. They had a timer, but I bonded with you for 9 months. What did you name me? He asked quietly. Joshua. It means God is salvation. You saved me even though I couldn't keep you. He was crying. My adoptive parents always said I could search for you. I never did. I was afraid. I'm sorry you had to wonder. And I'm sorry when we finally found each other. It was like this. That it hurt Emma. Neither did she, he said. We were going to have a life together. Now she won't even look at me. We talked until sunrise. When we hung up, I felt hollowed out and too full at the same time. The support group met every Thursday. I'd been going for 2 months. Mothers who'd given children up for adoption. That night, the leader looked at me. "You've been carrying something heavy. Do you want to share?" I told them everything. When I finished, Patricia took my hand. "You did the right thing. You saved them from something that would have destroyed them eventually." But another woman shook her head. "Maybe some truths shouldn't be told. Maybe they were happy." "It's about genetics," I said. "About informed consent. They had a right to know." "But did you have a right to destroy their happiness to tell them?" I thought about that all night. Had I taken away their choice? Emma emailed me that night. "Mom, I've been thinking about what you said, about how you saved us. Here's what I think. You destroyed us because you couldn't live with your guilt. We could have been careful about biological children, used donors, adopted. But now we can't even try. How do we explain to people why we're together? We'd be pariahs. Congratulations. We're apart. Daniel's moving to Seattle. And I'm wondering how the mother who taught me love was everything could take mine away so easily. I know you thought you were protecting us, but you were thinking about yourself, your guilt, your need to feel like a good mother. I need space. Stop calling. Stop texting. Let me figure out how to live in this reality you forced on us." I read it 3 times. She was right about some things. My guilt had played a role. But she was wrong about my motivations. Or was she? Daniel showed up at my office the next day. "I got a job in Seattle. I'm leaving in 2 weeks." "Daniel, don't. I need to understand something. In all those futures you imagined for me, did you ever picture this? Me finding love and having it taken away because of choices you made before I was born? No. How could I?" "Exactly. You couldn't. This is impossible. And the worst part? I understand why you did it, but understanding doesn't make it hurt less." He moved to the window. "I've been reading about genetic sexual attraction, GSA, when biological relatives meet as adults and feel intense attraction. It's common in adoption reunions. What you and Emma felt wasn't GSA. You didn't know. Did we? Or is that what we tell ourselves? How do I know what I felt was real and not biology recognizing genetic material?" "The love was real," I said firmly. "I saw you together." Was. Past tense. Because love isn't enough. Love doesn't overcome biology or social taboos. Before he left, he turned back. "I don't blame you for giving me up. I don't even blame you for telling us. But I blame you for the timing. For not taking time to think about how. For not finding a counselor. You're right. I panicked, and I'm sorry." "Me too. I'm sorry I found you. I'm sorry Emma found me." After he left, I collapsed, sobbing. That night, I did something I hadn't done in years. I called Marcus. Found him on Facebook years ago but never reached out. He answered. "Hello?" "Marcus, it's Sarah, from high school." Long silence. "Sarah, wow." I told him everything. When I finished, he was quiet. "Jesus Christ, I'm sorry. For leaving you then, and for this now. Do you ever think about him? Our son?" "Every day. I tell myself I made the right choice. But I just made the easy one. I was 18 and scared. He turned out good, despite us. But now he's hurting. Because of choices we made." We talked for an hour. It didn't fix anything, but it helped. The next morning I drove to Emma's house. She answered in pajamas at 2 p.m. looking wrecked. "I asked you to give me space. I need you to know everything I did because I love you both. Not just you. Both." "From what?" she screamed. "From being happy? From having to live a lie? From genetic risks? From judgment? Those were our choices to make, not yours." "You're right. If I could take it back, I would. But I can't." She looked at me with tears streaming. "I see him everywhere, Mom. And the worst part? I still love him. How fucked up is that?" "It's not fucked up. It's human. Love doesn't disappear. How long did it take you to stop loving Daniel's father? I still think about him sometimes, but I built a life anyway. You can carry loss and still find joy. She closed the door without another word. Daniel left for Seattle the following week. Emma texted, "He's gone." Sometimes doing the right thing feels exactly like doing the wrong thing. Sometimes the people you love most become casualties of your truth. But at least now they knew. At least now they could make informed choices. I clung to that thought, because it was all I had left. Tell me in the comments, have you ever had to tell a truth that destroyed everything? Subscribe if you understand that sometimes love looks like letting go. 3 months passed like fog. Emma eventually started answering texts, brief, functional updates about work, therapy, weather. We were strangers performing mother-daughter choreography without intimacy. I started having the dream again, running through hospital corridors, searching for a crying baby I could never find. Now there were 2 babies crying in different directions, and I had to choose which one to run toward. My therapist said it was my subconscious processing the impossible position. You couldn't save them both without hurting them both. Any choice would have caused pain. But there was a less bad option, wasn't there? Maybe. But you were in crisis mode. You did what you thought would save your children. And instead, I became the disaster. She didn't disagree. Daniel called once from Seattle. Late, after midnight. Rain in the background. I met someone, at work, an engineer. We've gone out twice. My heart clenched. That's good. I don't feel anything. I sit across from her and she's talking, and I'm nodding and smiling, but I don't feel anything. It's like that part of me is gone, amputated. You're grieving. It doesn't follow a schedule. But what if Emma was it for me? What if I spend my life comparing everyone to her? Time helps. Does it? You've been alone for 18 years since Emma's dad left. Did time help you? The words stung. I chose to be alone. And look how well that turned out. Emma hates you. I'm 3 states away. Was it worth it? I should have been angry. Instead, I felt tired. Some days, yes, I raised a capable woman and helped people. Other days, I think I was hiding. Long silence. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said that. I'm angry at everything. You're allowed to be. Even if what I'm feeling is that I wish I'd never been born. I'd thought it myself too many times to be shocked. Even that. Emma started dating again. I found out from Instagram. Photos at restaurants, concerts, hiking trails with men whose faces were blurred. Placeholders for the person she couldn't have. One Thursday at support group, a young woman asked me, "Does the hole in your chest ever fill in?" I thought about lying. It gets different. The grief changes shape. Some days you barely notice it. Other days it consumes you. And if you're not lucky, you spend your life wondering if you destroyed the thing you were trying to save. She looked at me. You're not supposed to say that. You asked for truth. The truth is complicated. That night, there was an email from Emma. Mom, I've decided to move. Denver. My company offered me a position. I need somewhere that doesn't have memories of Daniel on every corner. I'm not telling you this to hurt you. You deserve to know. But this move is partly about getting away from you too. From the choices you made that keep echoing through my life. My therapist says I need to process anger before forgiveness, so that's what I'm doing. Part of that means physical distance. I don't know when I'll be ready to talk again. Maybe months, maybe years, maybe never. I need you to respect that. I'm moving in 3 weeks. I'd prefer if you didn't come say goodbye. I read it 5 times, each reading more hollow. My daughter was leaving, creating miles and mountains between us. That night, I pulled down the box from my closet. The hospital bracelet, tiny blue cap, single Polaroid of Daniel with eyes closed, face scrunched. So impossibly small. I held that photo and wept. For the baby I'd given up. For the man who couldn't feel anymore. For the daughter I was losing again. The rain started sudden and violent. I stood on my porch, letting spray mix with tears. Sometimes the silences between storms are worse than the storms. In the silence, you're just waiting for the next hit, suspended between what was and what will be. Emma moved on a Tuesday. I knew from her Instagram. New city, new chapter, same heartbreak in a different zip code. I didn't text. She'd asked me not to. Work became my refuge. I took on extra cases, teenagers in foster care, mothers fighting for custody, families fractured by trauma. One afternoon, 16-year-old Jasmine asked me, "If you give them up, do you ever stop thinking about them?" No, you never stop. They're always there. But do you regret it? Some days I think I gave him a better life. Other days I think I robbed us both. Both feel true. That's not helpful. I know. But whatever you choose, make sure it's your choice, not someone else's. After she left, I thought about my words. Make sure it's your choice. Had I taken away Emma and Daniel's choice? Yes, I had. Marcus called that evening. I told my wife, about Daniel, about you, about everything. How did she take it? Not well. Heard I kept it from her. We're in counseling, but that's not why I called. I think I need to meet him. Daniel. I owe him that. He's barely speaking to me. But I've been thinking, maybe part of why he's lost is because he only has half his origin story. Maybe he needs to know he came from two people who were too young, not just one. Or maybe it'll give him one more person to be angry at. Maybe. But I've been running for 32 years. I don't want to run anymore. After we hung up, I sat with his words. What did not running look like for me? I'd told the truth, then let my children flee without fighting to repair damage. The next morning I did something impulsive. Booked a flight to Denver. Didn't tell Emma. Just packed and got on a plane. She was coming out of her building when I arrived, laughing with colleagues. She looked good. Better. Like someone starting over. Then she saw me. The laugh died instantly. What are you doing here? I needed to see you. To talk face to face. I told you I needed space. I know. But Emma, I can't let you disappear without trying to explain. To what? Make yourself feel better? This is about easing your guilt. Maybe. But I'm also here because you're my daughter and I love you. I don't hate you, she said quietly. I want to. It would be easier. But it's this complicated mess where I'm furious and grateful and heartbroken all at once. Can we talk? 20 minutes? We walked to a coffee shop. Ordered drinks neither would finish. I've been seeing a therapist 3 times a week, Emma started. One thing we've explored is why I'm so angry at you specifically. And I can't yell at the universe, so I've been yelling at you. You have every right. Do I? My therapist asked what I would have done in your position. I didn't have an answer. But I should have handled it better. Found a professional. Maybe. But you were in crisis mode. I understand that now. So, can you forgive me? I don't know. I'm not there yet. But I'm trying. Have you talked to Daniel? Her body tensed. No, not since he moved. I can't hear his voice without falling apart. My therapist calls it ambiguous loss. Losing someone who's still alive but unreachable. He's struggling too. Pain crossed her face. You can't tell me that. I can't know he's suffering. It makes it worse. We sat in heavy silence. His biological father wants to meet him, I said. Marcus, he's ready to stop running. Emma's eyes widened. You're in contact with him? I called him when this happened. Needed someone who understood. Does Daniel know? Not yet. Do you think he's ready? I don't know him anymore. I thought I knew everything. How he takes his coffee, what makes him laugh. But I didn't know the most fundamental thing. So, no, I can't tell you if he's ready. You did know him. The DNA doesn't change who he is, doesn't it? Every memory is tainted. Every kiss, every touch. I can't think about them without hearing you were kissing your brother. It's contaminated everything. She left 20 minutes later without hugging goodbye. Daniel called that night, voice rough. Mom, I think I need help. Professional help. Can you recommend someone? I'll find you someone. Someone who specializes in impossible situations. Thank you. After we hung up, I thought about how much that simple exchange meant. He was reaching out, still calling me Mom, still trusting me enough to ask for help. Maybe that was something. Maybe that was enough for now. If you've ever had to watch your children suffer from choices you made, comment below and subscribe, because what happens when Daniel meets Marcus changes everything again. 2 weeks later, Marcus called. I'm in Houston. I drove from Dallas. I need to do this. Meet him. Have you told Daniel you're coming? No, I thought you could facilitate. He's in Seattle, and fragile. This might not be the right time. There's never going to be a right time. Please, Sarah. I thought about saying no, but I remembered what I'd told Emma about healing. I'll call him, but prepare yourself. He might say no. I called Daniel that night. Seattle rain in the background. Your biological father wants to meet you. Marcus. He's ready to talk. Silence stretched forever. Is he going to apologize for abandoning you? Probably. But this is about you and him now. I don't know if I can do this. I'm barely holding myself together. Emma texted me yesterday, just something random, and I spent an hour analyzing every word. What if he came to Seattle? Your territory, your timeline, your choice, your control. Considering. What's he like? Do I look like him? You have his height, his build, the way you tilt your head. That's all him. But you got my eyes, my stubbornness. Short laugh. Lucky me. Anxiety from both sides. Okay. Tell him he can come, but I want you there too. I need someone who knows the full story. So I coordinated it. Marcus flew to Seattle that weekend. I met him at the airport Friday evening. He looked older, grayer, worn down by decades of guilt. Sarah, he said, voice cracking. Marcus. Awkward silence. Two people who'd created life together 33 years ago, strangers ever since. Thank you for this, for not telling me to go to hell. I thought about it, but holding grudges takes energy I don't have. We took a rideshare to Daniel's apartment. Marcus fidgeted with his wedding ring. What if he hates me? Then you accept it. You apologize. You tell your truth and let him decide. Daniel buzzed us up without a word. When we reached his floor, he was waiting in the doorway. The moment Marcus saw him, he stopped breathing. Jesus, he looks just like you. He looks just like you at that age. Daniel stood watching us, arms crossed, expression unreadable. He extended his hand. I'm Daniel. Marcus. Formal handshake. Thank you for seeing me. Come in. His apartment was small but tidy, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. Rain streaked down glass, distorting lights into watercolor. We sat, Daniel in an armchair, Marcus and me on the couch. Thick silence. I don't know where to start, Marcus finally said. Start with why, Daniel said, voice hard. Why you left. Why you let Mom deal with everything alone. Marcus flinched. I was 18. Just 18. I had a football scholarship, my future mapped out. Then Sarah told me she was pregnant, and I panicked. I told myself it wasn't my problem, that she could handle it. I told myself lies to justify doing the easy thing. Did you love her? My mother? Or was she convenient? Marcus looked at me. I thought I did. But looking back now, I don't think I knew what love was. I knew infatuation. But real love that makes you stay when things get hard? No. Which was nothing, Daniel said flatly. Yeah. Nothing. and I've regretted it every day. Have you? Because you did pretty well for yourself. Football career, coaching job, wife, 3 kids. Looks like abandoning your first child worked out great. Daniel, I started gently. No, Mom. He needs to hear this. Regret doesn't mean shit if it doesn't change anything. He's had 32 years to find me. And he didn't. Marcus's eyes shone with tears. You're right. I could have searched years ago. I was a coward. I told myself you were better off without me. I used your well-being as an excuse for my absence. Did you tell your wife? Your kids? Or am I your dirty secret? I told my wife last month. She was hurt I kept it from her so long. We're in counseling. And I'm telling my kids, your half-siblings, this weekend. I wanted to meet you first. Daniel laughed bitterly. How generous. Want a medal? I want your forgiveness. But I know I haven't earned it. I just needed you to know I think about you. That walking away is my biggest regret. Bigger than the situation with Emma? Marcus paled. You know about that? Of course. How your choice to leave created dominoes that led to me almost marrying my sister. The words hung like smoke. Marcus looked stricken. I can't change the past. But I'm here now. That has to count for something. Does it? Daniel stood, pacing to the window. You showing up now is more about your need to feel like a good person than what I actually need. I needed you 32 years ago. Not now. I'm offering you family, your half-siblings, medical history, answers, a relationship if you want one. Daniel turned, tears on his face. You want to know what I need? I need you to acknowledge that your absence fucked me up. That growing up adopted, always wondering. Your choice to walk away created that. Own the full weight of what you did. You're right. Marcus stood too, facing his son. My choice to leave hurt you. Created wounds your adoptive parents couldn't heal. Made you question your worth, your place in the world. I did that. Me. I chose convenience over responsibility, and you paid the price. Is that what you need to hear? It's a start. But it's not enough. I don't know if I can forgive you. I don't even know if I want to try. Silence again. Rain against windows. Life continuing normally outside while we sat in wreckage. Can I ask you something? Daniel said, softer now. When Mom told you she was pregnant, what did you feel? Not what you thought you should feel. What you actually felt. Marcus considered carefully. Terror. Absolute terror. My whole life was ahead of me. Suddenly there was this responsibility I wasn't ready for. I felt trapped. Then guilty for feeling trapped. Then angry at Sarah for making it real. Did you ever think about the baby? About me? All the time, especially after my other kids were born. I'd hold them and think about the one I'd never held. Every birthday, every milestone. I'd think, Daniel's this old now. You were always there like a ghost. Then why didn't you search for me? Because I was ashamed. Because I told myself you were better off without me. Because I was still a coward, just an older one. Marcus wiped his eyes. There's no good answer. I prioritized my comfort over your need to know your father. Again. Daniel nodded slowly. At least you're honest. I want to try. If you'll let me. I know I can't be your dad, but maybe something. A connection. It's not enough. I know. But it's what I can offer. Daniel looked at me, question in his eyes. I nodded encouragement. I don't know if I can do that. Let you into my life after everything. But I'm willing to sit with it. Maybe we could email sometimes. I'll take that, Marcus said immediately. We stayed another hour. Conversation gradually less tense. Daniel asked about his half-siblings. Marcus told stories about coaching, his life in Dallas. When we left, Daniel walked us to the door, shook Marcus's hand, still formal. then impulsively pulled him into a brief, awkward hug. Thank you for coming, for being honest. It doesn't fix anything, but it's something. Marcus was crying openly. Thank you for seeing me. In the rideshare back, Marcus stared out at rain-blurred lights. That was harder than I thought. What did you expect? That 32 years of absence could be forgiven in one conversation? Maybe. Maybe I'm still that selfish kid. How did you do it, Sarah? Carry that loss for so long without becoming bitter? Who says I didn't? I pushed people away for years. Carried that loss badly. Just got better at hiding it. Do you think he'll ever forgive me? I think he might learn to understand you. See you as flawed instead of villain. But forgiveness isn't something you can ask for. That's his to give if and when he's ready. The same way Emma might never fully forgive you? Yeah, the same way. That night, Daniel texted, "Thank you for being there today. I know it wasn't easy for you either. Are you okay?" I don't know. But maybe this was necessary. Like lancing an infected wound. It hurts. But maybe it leads to healing. I hope so, honey. Hey, Mom. I emailed Emma. Told her about meeting Marcus. She responded. We're actually talking now. It's painful and complicated, but we're communicating. My heart clenched with hope and fear. Is that good or bad? Both. It's both. But maybe we're learning we can be in each other's lives without destroying each other. Maybe we can be friends someday. Maybe that's enough. Maybe it is. Next morning, Marcus called before his flight. I'm telling my kids today. About Daniel. My wife thinks they deserve to know. How do you think they'll take it? Don't know. They're teenagers. Drama and curiosity and judgment. But they're good kids. Maybe they'll want to meet him someday. He might like that. Siblings without complicated history. Marcus smiled sadly. Everyone in Daniel's life comes with complicated history now. That's what we did to him. You and me. Before he left, he handed me an envelope. Give this to Daniel when he's ready. It's a letter. Everything I wanted to say but couldn't. There's a check too. Not to buy forgiveness, but to help with therapy. I know it's inadequate, but it's something. I took it, feeling its weight. I'll give it to him. Thank you, Sarah, for everything. For raising him in your heart when you couldn't raise him in your home. For being a better person than I've been. After he left, I sat holding that envelope, thinking about second chances and whether they're ever really possible, or if we just tell ourselves they are to make peace with regrets. Emma texted, Daniel told me Marcus came. How did it go? Painful. Honest? Necessary. How are you? One day at a time. Trying to figure out if Daniel and I can be in each other's lives without it destroying us. My therapist says it's possible, but it requires boundaries. That's wise. I think I'm ready to come home for Thanksgiving. To Texas. If you'll have me. I read it 3 times, tears streaming. You'll always have a home with me. Always. I know. I'm starting to remember that. I flew home with Marcus's letter in my bag and hope in my chest for the first time in months. Not hope for everything to go back to normal. That was impossible. Hope that maybe we could all find a new normal. Sometimes love looks like absence. Sometimes it looks like difficult conversations. Sometimes it looks like acknowledging harm without knowing if forgiveness will come. And sometimes love looks like a text saying she's ready to come home. Not all the way. Not back to who she was. But home nonetheless. For now, that was enough. Thanksgiving arrived like an unwelcome guest. Emma flew in 3 days before, and I picked her up with shaking hands. When she came through arrivals, I barely recognized her. Shorter hair, highlights, something fundamental changed in how she carried herself. She looked older, more guarded, like someone broken and still figuring out how the pieces fit. Hi, Mom. We hugged, both crying in the middle of the airport while travelers flowed around us. I missed you, I whispered. I missed you too. Even when I was furious, I missed you. We drove home in comfortable silence. She looked out at familiar landmarks, tension and nostalgia fighting in her expression. Is it weird being back? Everything's weird now. This is just one more weird thing. At home, she stood in her old room doorway. Photos on walls, books on shelves, childhood preserved like a museum. I'm not this person anymore. The girl who lived here. She's gone. You're still her, just also someone new. Both things can exist at once. She smiled sadly. Both things at once. That's our family motto now. That night we cooked dinner together. Simple pasta. But standing in the kitchen, passing ingredients, falling into old rhythms, it felt like healing. Small, fragile, but real. Daniel's been applying to jobs in different cities, Emma said suddenly, chopping vegetables. He told me in an email, thinking about leaving Seattle. How does that make you feel? Relieved. Guilty for feeling relieved. Sad. The usual contradictory mess. She set down the knife. We've been talking about maybe meeting up, not in person yet, but a video call. My therapist thinks it might help. Are you ready? No, but I'll never feel ready, so I might as well do it scared. Next day, shopping for Thanksgiving supplies, Emma ran into Rachel, screaming, hugging, tears, demands to know why Emma hadn't told her she was coming. It was last minute, work stuff. Rachel clearly sensed more but was gracious. We should get coffee. I'd like that. After Rachel walked away, Emma turned to me. I haven't told anyone the real reason we broke up. The official story is we wanted different things. Is that okay? You don't owe anyone your truth, especially not a truth this complicated. Even if it's a lie? Sometimes lies are kinder than truth. Sometimes they're all that make life livable. Thanksgiving morning, I woke early for the turkey. Emma came downstairs in pajamas, looking young, and wordlessly started helping. I invited someone for dinner, I said carefully. I hope that's okay. She froze, knife hovering. Please tell me it's not Daniel. It's not Daniel. It's Marcus. He's coming through town, and I thought maybe you'd want to meet him. Understand that part of Daniel's story. She set down the knife slowly. You're asking me to have Thanksgiving with the man who abandoned you? Who walked away? I'm asking you to meet someone who made terrible choices and is trying to do better. You don't have to like him or forgive him. But I thought you might want the option. Long pause. Does Daniel know? Yes. He said it's up to you. What time? 3 o'clock. Okay, fine. But I'm not promising to be nice. I wouldn't expect you to be. Marcus arrived at exactly 3 with wine, flowers, and visible anxiety. Emma answered the door, looked him up and down. So, you're the one who started all this. Marcus flinched. I suppose I am. In every way. If you'd stayed, if you'd been there for my mom, she might not have given Daniel up. Or maybe she would have, but not alone. And maybe that would have changed things. Maybe Daniel and I never would have met. Maybe we'd be living completely different lives. Emma, I started. Let me finish. You made a choice that rippled through decades. You created a situation where your son and my mom's daughter could meet and fall in love without knowing. You did that. And I'm angry, even though I know you didn't intend it. But intent doesn't matter when consequences are this devastating. Marcus stood there, taking it. You're right. About all of it. And I'm sorry. I know that's inadequate, but it's all I have. Emma stared another long moment, then stepped aside. Come in. But we're not done talking. Dinner was tense at first. But gradually, as wine flowed and food settled, something shifted. Marcus told stories about his other kids, coaching, the life he'd built. Emma talked about Denver, her work, learning to exist without the future she'd planned. Do you ever wonder what would have happened? Emma asked suddenly, midway through dessert. if you'd stayed, what your life would look like. All the time. I wonder if Sarah and I would have stayed together. Probably not. We were young. But maybe I could have been involved. Been a father to Daniel even if Sarah and I weren't together. Would you trade? If you could go back, knowing how it turned out, would you make a different choice? Marcus looked at me, then Emma. That's impossible, because my other 3 kids exist because of my choices. If I change the past, they might not exist. How do I weigh Daniel's pain against their existence? Choose between children? The same way Mom had to choose between protecting us and letting us make our own choices. Emma said quietly, by accepting there's no good answer. Every choice has consequences. You just have to live with them. I'm trying to. That's all I can do now. After dinner, Emma and Marcus ended up in the living room while I cleaned. I could hear their voices, confrontational at first, then softer, curious. When I joined them, they were looking at photos on Marcus's phone of Daniel's half-siblings. They look like him, Emma said, zooming in. Same nose, same smile. They'd like to meet him someday, if he's willing. They're excited to have an older brother. Everything about this is complicated, Emma said. But she didn't sound angry anymore, just tired. Does it get easier, living with this level of complication? I don't know. Ask me in a year. After Marcus left, Emma and I sat on the couch with leftovers and wine, scrolling through old photos. Pictures of her as a baby, toddler, teenager, a whole life documented. I want to show you something. Emma pulled out her phone, opened email, handed it to me. Daniel and I have been writing, real letters. This is the last one he sent. I read slowly, feeling like I was intruding on something sacred. Emma, I've been thinking about parallel universes. There's this theory that for every decision, the universe splits. In one universe, I never went to that conference. In another, you didn't. In another, we met but didn't click. And in another, we're related but never found out. And we're married with kids, living in blissful ignorance. I don't know which universe is better. This one where we know and we're apart, or that one where we don't know and we're together. Both cause harm differently. But here's what I've been thinking. In this universe, right now, we choose what we do with this information. We can let it destroy us completely, or transform it into something else. Not romantic love. That's not possible. But maybe something new. Maybe a kind of love that acknowledges biology but isn't defined by it. I want to try. I want to see if we can be in each other's lives somehow. I'm not saying it'll be easy, but I'm saying I'm willing to try if you are. I'm applying for a job in Boston. Fresh start. If I get it, maybe you could visit. Maybe we could sit in a coffee shop like normal people and talk. Maybe we could remember what it felt like to just be 2 people who enjoyed each other's company before we knew about the DNA. Or maybe that's impossible. Maybe I'm deluding myself. But I have to try. Because the alternative, never speaking to you again, that feels like a different kind of death. Let me know what you think. Daniel. I handed the phone back with tears. What did you say? I said yes. That I want to try too. That I'm terrified and hopeful equally. That Boston sounds nice, and maybe I could transfer there. And maybe we could build something new in a city where neither of us has ghosts. Boston? You're thinking about moving again? Not right away. But maybe. Eventually. If Daniel gets the job. If we can figure out how to be in each other's lives without it destroying us. She looked at me, eyes clear and determined. I know you're scared of losing me again. But I need to do this. See if we can find a way forward that isn't just absence and longing. What if it doesn't work? What if seeing him makes everything worse? Then I'll deal with it. But at least I'll know I tried. At least I won't spend my life wondering what if. I nodded, accepting it even though it terrified me. Then I support you. Whatever you need to heal. Even if it means moving across the country? Even then. She leaned her head on my shoulder, and we sat like that for a long time, processing loss and hope and the terrifying possibility that maybe some broken things could be reshaped into something new. Next morning, Daniel called. Emma told me about Thanksgiving, about meeting Marcus. How did it go? Better than expected. They talked. I think she understands him better now. Good. That's good. Pause. I got the job in Boston. I'm moving in January. Congratulations. Emma's thinking about transferring there too. Did she tell you? She did. Are you okay with that? With us trying to be in each other's lives again? I thought about lying, but I'd learned honesty, even uncomfortable honesty, was better. I'm terrified. Terrified it'll hurt you both. Terrified you'll fall back into old patterns. Terrified my daughter will move even further away. But I also know you're both adults who get to make your own choices. My job is to support those choices even when they scare me. Thank you for saying that, for being honest, and for letting us try. What are you hoping will happen? In Boston? With Emma? I don't know. Friendship, maybe, or just coexistence. The ability to be in the same room without wanting to either kiss her or run away. The ability to know she's happy without it destroying me. Small things. Manageable things. Those sound like good goals. Mom, do you think we're crazy for trying this? Everyone else would probably tell us to just move on, cut all contact. But that feels wrong, like we'd be erasing something that mattered just because it got complicated. I think you're brave, both of you, choosing to walk toward pain, hoping for healing on the other side. Will it work? I don't know, but I'm proud of you for trying. After we hung up, I sat with the weight of what was coming. My daughter and my son, moving to the same city, trying to exist in each other's orbit without gravity pulling them together. It sounded impossible, but everything about this had been impossible from the start, and we were all still standing. Emma came downstairs, already packed, flight back to Denver leaving soon. Thank you for this week, for having me, for introducing me to Marcus, for not trying to talk me out of Boston. You don't have to thank me for being your mother. You didn't always show up the way I wanted, but you showed up the way you thought was right. I understand that now. I don't know if I'm ready to call it forgiveness, but I'm getting closer. We hugged for a long time at the airport. I love you. No matter what happens in Boston, no matter how this turns out, I love you. I love you too, Mom. Even when I didn't want to. Even when I was furious. I never stopped. Watching her disappear through security, I felt the familiar ache of letting go. But this time was different. This time I wasn't losing her. She was just finding her own way forward, and I had to trust I'd raised her well enough to navigate whatever came next. If you've ever had to let go of someone you love so they could heal, drop a comment. And subscribe, because what happens in Boston will break your heart and put it back together in ways you never expected. 6 months later, I stood in Boston's Logan Airport waiting for Emma's luggage. She'd made the transfer official, taking a position with her company's Boston office. Daniel had been living there since January, and they'd been meeting for coffee every other week. Carefully choreographed encounters in public places, always time-limited, always with exit strategies. It's weird, Emma had told me last week. We talk about work and weather and books like we're distant acquaintances, instead of people who once planned to spend our lives together. But it's something. More than silence. Now she was here permanently, renting an apartment in Cambridge, building a new life where neither had history. Starting over, but together in the strange way they'd figured out. Mom! She spotted me, waved, pulling her suitcase. She looked good. Healthier than at Thanksgiving, like she'd started sleeping through the night again. We hugged, and I breathed in familiar shampoo, overwhelmed with gratitude. Daniel's meeting us for dinner, she said as we walked to my rental car. If that's okay? He wanted to see you, and I thought maybe it would be good. For all of us to be in the same room. Prove we can do this. My heart raced. Are you sure you're ready? No, but I'm doing it anyway. That seems to be my motto. Doing things scared. The restaurant was small, intimate, dim lighting and quiet conversation. Daniel was already there at a corner table looking nervous. When he saw us, he stood, and for a moment we just stood there, frozen. Mother, daughter, son. Family in the most complicated way possible. Hi, Daniel said, voice cracking slightly. Thanks for coming. We sat, ordered drinks, made small talk about Emma's apartment and Daniel's job and Boston weather compared to Texas and Seattle. Safe topics, surface-level conversations dancing around everything we weren't saying. Finally, Emma set down her water glass. Okay, we need to talk about the elephant. We're all here together for the first time since everything fell apart. We should acknowledge that instead of pretending this is normal. Daniel nodded. You're right, so I'll go first. He looked at me, then Emma, then back. I want to thank you both. Emma, for being willing to try this friendship thing. And Mom, for facilitating it. For not freaking out that we're choosing to be in each other's lives. I'm freaking out a little, I admitted. But I'm trying to trust you both know what you need. Do we? Emma asked, not rhetorically. Because some days I think we're crazy. Some days I see Daniel across a coffee shop and I remember what it felt like to kiss him, to love him, and I want to run away and never see him again. But then I think about never seeing him again, and that feels worse. So I don't know if we know what we need, but we're figuring it out. That's all anyone can do, I said gently. Figure it out as they go. Daniel was looking at Emma with an expression I couldn't read. Can I ask you something? When you think about us now, does it feel contaminated? Does knowing we're related ruin all the good memories? Emma considered carefully. Sometimes, but not always. I'm learning to separate biology from experience. Like, yes, we're related. But that doesn't change that you made me laugh on our first date. That you brought me coffee in bed Sunday mornings. That you held me when my presentation went badly. Those experiences were real. They happened to two people who didn't know they were related. I'm trying to honor that version of us while accepting that version can't exist anymore. I like that, Daniel said quietly. Honoring who we were while accepting who we can't be. That feels right. We ordered food, and conversation gradually became easier, more natural. They told stories about their coffee shop meetings, awkward moments, and surprisingly good ones. I told them about work, about Marcus's continued presence, about the support group where I'd become a veteran member, helping newer mothers navigate grief and guilt. Marcus wants to visit Boston, Daniel said as we finished dessert. Meet both of us here. Have dinner together. All of us. You, me, Emma, him. He thinks it might help. Seeing that we're all choosing to be family in whatever weird way this is. How do you feel about that? I asked. Terrified, but also curious. I've been emailing with my half-siblings, Jake, Melissa, Sam. They want to meet me too. Melissa especially. She always wanted an older brother. Would you want them there? At this dinner? Or too much family at once? Maybe too much at once. But eventually. I don't know. I'm still figuring out how to be a brother to people I didn't grow up with. You're a brother to me, Emma said suddenly. That's weird to say out loud, but it's true. You're my half-brother, and we have to figure out what that means. Not traditional sibling relationship, obviously, but something. The word hung between them. Brother. Sister. Family in a way neither had chosen. In a way that complicated everything they'd felt. I don't think of you as a sister, Daniel said carefully. I know I should. Biologically. But when I look at you, I still see the woman I fell in love with first. The biology is just additional information. Does that make sense? Perfect sense. And it's exactly the problem, isn't it? We can't unknow what we know, but we also can't unfeel what we felt. So we're stuck in this liminal space between what was and what is, trying to build something new from wreckage. Poetry, I said softly. You should write that down, both of you. Not for publication, just for yourselves. To process, to remember, to make sense of the impossible. I've been journaling, Emma admitted. Hundreds of pages trying to understand how I feel, why I feel it, what it means. My therapist says it's good, cathartic. I've been writing letters, Daniel said. To the universe, I guess. Asking why. Trying to accept there might not be answers. That sometimes terrible coincidences happen and there's no meaning. Just probability and bad luck. Not bad luck, Emma corrected. That's what I'm learning. This isn't bad luck. It's just luck. Neutral. We met and fell in love and found out we're related. None of that is good or bad, it just is. What matters is what we do with it. We're choosing not to let it destroy us. To find a way to exist in each other's lives that honors what was while accepting what is. That's not bad luck. That's resilience. I felt tears welling, overwhelmed by her wisdom, her strength, her ability to reframe tragedy into something survivable. When did you get so wise? When my mother blew up my life by telling me the truth I needed, but didn't want to know. You taught me that sometimes love looks like destruction. That sometimes the hardest thing and the right thing are the same. I didn't want to learn that lesson, but now that I have, I'm trying to use it. After dinner, we walked along the Charles River, the three of us side by side, watching lights reflect in dark water. Couples walked past hand in hand, families with strollers, joggers and cyclists, and people living normal lives we'd never have. Do you think we'll ever stop feeling weird? Daniel asked. About all of this? I think weird becomes normal if you live with it long enough, I said. You'll build new memories here, new experiences not tied to the past, and gradually, those new memories will outnumber the old ones, and weird will just be your baseline. God, I hope so, Emma said. Because I'm tired of weird. I'm ready for boring, for normal, for a life where the most dramatic thing is traffic on the way to work. We laughed, all of us, and it felt good, natural, like maybe we really were going to be okay. Later that night, after I'd dropped Emma at her apartment and was back in my hotel, both texted me. Emma, thank you for tonight, for being there, for making this feel possible. Daniel, I'm glad we're doing this, all of us, together in whatever weird way this is. I responded to both. I love you. Both of you. I'm proud of the people you're becoming, the way you're handling impossible circumstances with grace and courage. Thank you for letting me be part of this journey. Next morning, I flew back to Texas, leaving my children in Boston to build whatever kind of relationship they were capable of building. It felt wrong leaving them there together, but also right. They were adults. They got to choose. And they were choosing each other in the only way they could. Comment below if you've ever had to trust someone you love to make their own choices, even when it scared you. And subscribe, because what happens next will show you that sometimes the most broken families become the strongest ones. 3 months after Emma moved to Boston, she called with news that made my blood run cold. Daniel got a call from a reporter. Someone found out about us, about the whole situation. They want to write a story. What did he say? He said no, obviously. But Mom, what if it gets out anyway? What if people find out, and we become some viral story, the siblings who almost got married? What if we're judged and mocked and turned into a cautionary tale? Then we handle it, I said firmly. Together. And we remember what happened to you wasn't shameful. It was a consequence of a closed adoption system, of probability, of the universe being random and sometimes cruel. You have nothing to be ashamed of. Easy for you to say. You're not the one who almost married her brother. No, but I'm the mother who gave up her son and then told her daughter she couldn't marry him. We all have our roles in this story. and none are simple. If it gets out, we face it with honesty and dignity. We tell the truth and let people judge if they're going to judge. I don't know if I'm strong enough for that. You are. You've survived everything else. You'll survive this too. The story never ran. Maybe the reporter decided it was too sensitive, too complicated, too likely to hurt real people. Or maybe Daniel and Emma's firm no was enough. Either way, we dodged that bullet. But the conversation made me realize something. I needed to own my part in this story. Not hide from it, not minimize it, but acknowledge it fully. So I went back to my adoption support group and told them everything. The whole story, from beginning to end. And when I finished, Patricia said something that changed how I saw everything. You didn't cause the situation. The closed adoption system caused it. The stigma around single mothers that forced you to give up your baby caused it. The lack of genetic testing and registries that could have prevented this caused it. You were just a 17-year-old girl doing the best you could in an impossible situation. And when you found out what was happening, you told the truth. That took courage. Don't let anyone make you feel like the villain of this story. I cried then, harder than I'd cried in months. Because I'd been carrying the guilt of being the villain, the destroyer of dreams, the mother who ruined everything. But maybe I wasn't. Maybe I was just another casualty of systems and stigmas and probability. Maybe we all were. Emma called with an update that made my heart soar and break simultaneously. Daniel's dating someone. Her name is Rebecca. She's a teacher. He seems happy. How are you handling it? Better than I thought. I met her, actually. Daniel wanted my approval, which is weird but also sweet. She's great. Kind, funny, completely unrelated to any of us. I gave them my blessing, which felt strange but also right. And you? Are you dating? Sort of. His name is Chris. Software engineer. Very normal, very stable. He knows about Daniel, about the whole situation. I told him early because I needed to know if he could handle it. He said it was the most Boston story he'd ever heard. Complicated and messy, but ultimately about people trying to do their best. He sounds wise. He is, and the best part? When I'm with him, I don't think about Daniel every second. I'm just present, living my life. It feels like progress. It is progress, honey. I'm so proud of you. That Christmas, Emma came home to Texas. Daniel stayed in Boston with Rebecca, and Emma brought Chris. We all had dinner together, me, Emma, Chris, and via video call, Daniel, Rebecca, and Marcus with his family. It was chaotic and weird and beautiful. All of us on screen together, talking over each other, laughing at shared jokes, building new traditions for this strange family we'd become. At one point, Chris asked, "So let me get this straight. Daniel is Emma's half-brother, but they dated before they knew. Marcus is Daniel's biological father who's now reconnecting. And you're the mother who gave Daniel up and then had Emma. This is like a soap opera." "It's our life," Emma said simply. "And yeah, it's complicated, but we're making it work." "That's actually kind of beautiful," Chris said. "Most families pretend their complicated is simple. You guys are just honest about it." And he was right. We were honest, brutally, painfully honest. And that honesty, as destructive as it had been initially, had ultimately saved us. After everyone logged off, Emma and I sat on the couch with wine and Christmas tree lights twinkling. "Thank you," she said suddenly. "For what?" "For telling us the truth. I know I fought you on it. I know I said I'd never forgive you. But you were right. If we'd found out later, after we had kids, after years of marriage, it would have been so much worse. You gave us the information we needed when we needed it, even though it destroyed us. That took courage." I felt tears streaming. "I'm sorry it had to happen at all. I'm sorry my choices before you were born created the situation. I'm sorry for all of it. I know, but I'm not sorry anymore. If we're being completely honest, this whole thing taught me things I needed to learn. about resilience, about how love can take different forms, about how family is more than biology or law. I wouldn't have chosen this path, but now that I'm on it, I can see the value in where it's led me. You're much wiser than I was at your age. I had a good teacher, a mother who showed me that sometimes doing the right thing means being the villain, that sometimes love looks like letting go, that sometimes the truth sets you free, even when it first imprisons you. We sat in silence, watching lights twinkle, listening to Christmas music play softly. "Do you think we'll ever be normal?" Emma asked. "I think we'll be our version of normal. And that's enough." She nodded, accepting it. "Yeah. Our version of normal. I can live with that." If this story has touched you, if you've ever had to choose between comfortable lies and painful truth, leave a comment, subscribe, and tell me where you're listening from, because the final chapter will show you that sometimes the most broken things become the most beautiful. 2 years after the revelation, I got a call from Daniel. "Rebecca and I are getting married, next June, in Boston, and I want you to walk me down the aisle. Both you and Marcus. My 2 parents together, giving me away." I couldn't speak through my tears. "Mom? Are you there?" "I'm here. I'd be honored. So honored. Emma's going to be Rebecca's bridesmaid. We talked about it, and it feels right. She's my friend now, my family, and Rebecca loves her. It's weird, but it works. Everything about us is weird, but it works. Yeah, it does." The months leading up to the wedding were a flurry of planning and phone calls and bridesmaid dress fittings and bachelor parties I wasn't invited to but heard about secondhand. Emma and Rebecca became close. Real friends, not just friendly because of Daniel. They'd go to brunch together, text each other memes, complain about work and men and life in general. "It's strange," Emma told me one night on the phone, "being friends with my ex-fiance's new fiancé. But Rebecca makes it easy. She knows the whole story. Daniel told her everything on their 3rd date. She said any woman who could handle that level of complicated deserved honesty from the start. She sounds like a keeper. She is. And you know what? I'm genuinely happy for them. Not, I'm saying I'm happy, but secretly dying inside, happy. Actually, truly happy. Because I want Daniel to be happy. And Rebecca makes him happy in ways I couldn't even if we weren't related. That's real growth, honey. Yeah. Turns out therapy actually works if you stick with it. Marcus called me a week before the wedding. "I'm bringing my whole family. My wife, Jake, Melissa, Sam. They all want to meet Daniel properly. Are you okay with that? I know it's a lot." It's his wedding. It should be a lot. That's what weddings are for, bringing families together. Even families as weird as ours? Especially families as weird as ours. The wedding was beautiful. Small, intimate, just close friends and family. I stood next to Marcus, both of us walking Daniel toward his future, his chosen family, his new beginning. Emma stood on Rebecca's side, smiling through tears, happy for him in a way that felt genuine and earned. Daniel's vows made everyone cry. "Rebecca, you came into my life when I didn't think I could love again, when I thought that part of me was broken beyond repair. You showed me that love takes many forms, that family isn't always what we expect, and that sometimes the best futures are the ones we never could have planned. You loved me knowing my full story, the complicated, messy, impossible parts. And you chose me anyway. That's the greatest gift anyone's ever given me." Rebecca's vows were equally beautiful. "Daniel, when you told me your story on our 3rd date, I thought you were testing me, seeing if I'd run. But what I saw was someone incredibly brave, someone who'd been through something impossible and came out the other side with compassion and grace and the ability to still love. You taught me that family is what we choose, not just what we're born into. And I choose you. Every day for the rest of my life, I choose you." At the reception, the four of us, me, Marcus, Emma, and Daniel, took a photo together. Our strange, complicated, beautiful family. Marcus's wife took the picture, and afterward she hugged me. Thank you for raising such a wonderful man. Even though you couldn't keep him, you loved him enough to give him a chance. That takes a kind of strength I can't imagine. I cried again. I'd been crying all day. During the reception, Emma pulled me aside. Can I tell you something? Anything. I'm dating Chris seriously now. Like, talking about moving in together seriously. And he wants to propose, but he wanted to check with me first if I was really ready. If I'd really processed everything with Daniel. Have you? I think so. I mean, I'll always love Daniel in some way. He was my first real love, and that doesn't just disappear. But it's transformed into something different now. Something that doesn't hurt anymore. He's my brother and my friend, and I'm happy he found Rebecca. And I'm ready to build my own life with someone new. Then I'm happy for you. Chris wants to meet you properly. Not on a video call, but like, come to Texas, have dinner, get your approval kind of meeting. He doesn't need my approval. Yes, he does. Because you're my mom, and despite everything that happened, despite all the complicated, painful, messy stuff, your opinion matters to me. It always has. We hugged, and I realized something. We'd made it. Through the revelation and the anger and the grief and the distance and the slow, painful rebuilding, we'd actually made it to the other side. That night, after the reception, I sat with Marcus on the hotel patio. His family had gone to bed, and it was just us, two people who'd created life together in a moment of teenage recklessness, watching the Boston city lights. We did okay, Marcus said quietly, considering. We did terrible, I corrected, but somehow, despite us, he turned out okay. Better than okay. Because of you. You're the one who had the courage to tell the truth when it mattered most. And you're the one who finally showed up. Better late than never. We sat in comfortable silence. Two former strangers now bound by the man sleeping upstairs with his new wife. Do you think we'll ever stop feeling guilty? Marcus asked. No. But I think we'll learn to carry it differently, like a scar instead of an open wound. I can live with that. Yeah, me too. The next morning, before I flew home, Daniel and Rebecca came to breakfast. They were glowing, exhausted, happy. Daniel hugged me tight. Thank you for everything, for giving me life twice, once at birth and once by telling the truth. You're welcome, both times. Rebecca hugged me too. I know I'm not your daughter-in-law in the traditional sense, but I'd like to think of you as family if that's okay. It's more than okay. It's perfect. Flying home, I thought about everything that had happened since that first day in Emma's kitchen when I'd seen Daniel's birthmark. The revelation, the devastation, the slow rebuilding. All of it. And I realized something. I wouldn't change it. Even knowing all the pain it would cause, I'd still tell them the truth. Because the alternative, letting them marry, have children, build a life on a lie that would eventually destroy them, was worse. Much worse. Sometimes love looks like destruction. Sometimes it looks like being the villain. Sometimes it looks like losing your children for a while so they can find their way back to you. And sometimes, if you're very lucky, love looks like a wedding where your son marries someone perfect for him, and your daughter stands beside them genuinely happy, and you realize that despite everything, you all survived. More than survived. You thrived. A year after the wedding, Emma called with news that terrified and excited me in equal measure. Chris proposed, and I said yes. Oh, honey, that's wonderful. There's more. We want to get married in Texas, at our house. Small ceremony, just close family and friends. And Mom, we want you to help plan it. I'd love to. There's something else. Her voice got quieter. Chris and I have been talking. and we think it's time. Time to tell our story. Not to a reporter or for attention, but on our own terms. We want to start a blog, or maybe a podcast about it. About closed adoption, about accidental genetic attraction, about how families survive impossible situations. My breath caught. Are you sure? Once it's out there, you can't take it back. I know, but I'm tired of hiding. Tired of lying when people ask how Daniel and I know each other. Tired of pretending our story is shameful when really it's just human. We didn't do anything wrong. Neither did you. The system failed us, and maybe by telling our story we can help change that system for other people. What does Daniel think? He's on board. So is Rebecca. Even Marcus and his family are supportive. We're all ready to own this. To say, yes, this happened to us, and here's how we survived it. Then I support you. Completely. 3 months later, they launched the podcast, Family Redefined. Emma and Daniel co-hosted it, with guest appearances from me, Marcus, Rebecca, and Chris. They told the whole story, the conference where they met, the engagement, my suspicions, the DNA test, the revelation, the aftermath, all of it. The response was overwhelming. Thousands of downloads in the first week, comments and emails from adoptees, from birth mothers, from people who discovered they were related to someone they dated. Stories of near misses and actual disasters and systems that failed to protect people from these exact situations. We're not alone, Emma said, reading through comments on our family group chat. There are so many people this has happened to, so many. And most of them are suffering in silence because they're ashamed. Daniel chimed in. We got an email from a woman who married her half-brother. They had 2 kids together before finding out through 23andMe. She said our podcast was the first time she'd heard anyone talk openly about this, and it made her feel less alone. That's why we did this, Emma responded, to make people feel less alone. The podcast took off. Major news outlets started covering it, not sensationalizing, but actually thoughtfully exploring the issues around closed adoption and genetic sexual attraction. Emma and Daniel did interviews, always emphasizing that they weren't victims or villains, just people navigating an impossible situation. One interviewer asked Emma, "Do you wish your mother had never told you? That you'd married Daniel without knowing?" Emma didn't hesitate. No, absolutely not. Finding out the way we did was devastating, but finding out after we had kids together, after years of marriage, that would have been so much worse. My mom gave us information we needed to make informed choices. That's not cruel. That's love. The interviewer turned to Daniel. Do you agree? Completely. I spent months being angry at Sarah for telling us, but now I'm grateful. She saw danger we couldn't see, and she warned us. She didn't handle it perfectly. None of us did. But she handled it honestly. That matters. Watching them defend me on national television, I cried. Happy tears for once. Emma's wedding was small and perfect. Just 40 people in my backyard, string lights and wildflowers and homemade food. Chris was exactly what Emma needed. Steady, kind, unafraid of complicated. During his vows, he said, "Emma, you taught me that love isn't about finding someone perfect. It's about finding someone whose imperfections and complications you're willing to embrace. Your story, your family, your past, it's all part of what makes you who you are, and I love all of it." Daniel stood as Chris's best man. During his toast, he said, "I loved Emma first in a way I couldn't keep, but Chris gets to love her in the way she deserves, fully, openly, without complications. And I'm grateful for that. Emma, you taught me that love can transform, that it can go from romantic to familial, from painful to peaceful. You taught me that just because something ends doesn't mean it was a mistake. We weren't a mistake. We were just the wrong kind of love story. But this," he gestured to Emma and Chris, "this is the right kind, and I'm honored to witness it." There wasn't a dry eye in the backyard. After the wedding, our family kept growing in unexpected ways. Marcus's kids, Jake, Melissa, and Sam, became regular parts of Daniel's life. They'd do sibling trips together, video game tournaments, group texts full of memes and inside jokes. Jake told me once, "I was so angry at my dad when I found out about Daniel, but getting to know Daniel showed me that Dad's mistakes led to something good existing in the world. Daniel's one of the best people I know. So yeah, Dad screwed up. But if he hadn't, Daniel wouldn't be here, and we'd all be worse off without him." The podcast continued, evolving beyond just our story to cover adoption reform, genetic testing ethics, the importance of open records. Emma and Daniel became advocates, testifying before state legislatures about the need for adoption registries and genetic databases that could prevent these situations. "We can't change what happened to us," Emma said in one hearing, "but we can change the system so it doesn't keep happening to others." On the 3rd anniversary of the DNA test revelation, the day that had destroyed and rebuilt us all, we had a family dinner. All of us, me, Emma, Daniel, Chris, Rebecca, Marcus, and his wife and kids. 14 people around my dining room table, laughing and arguing and passing dishes and being family. At one point, Melissa asked, "Do you guys ever wish none of this had happened? That you'd just met differently?" Emma and Daniel looked at each other, communicating in that silent way they'd developed. "No," Emma said finally, "because if Daniel and I had met differently, we wouldn't have this family. All of us together, in all our weird, complicated glory. This is better than what we thought we wanted. It's messier, but it's real. Plus," Daniel added, "we got a podcast out of it. And potential book deals. And we're helping people. So no, I wouldn't change it." Later, after everyone had gone, Emma helped me clean up. "Mom, can I tell you something?" "Always. I forgive you. Fully, completely forgive you. I know I said I'd never forgive you, but I was wrong. You did the hardest thing a mother could do. You protected us even when it made us hate you. That's real love. And I'm sorry it took me so long to see it." I set down the dish I was holding and hugged her tight. "Thank you. That means everything. I mean it. You're the hero of this story, not the villain. You saved us. We saved each other," I corrected. "All of us. Together. If this story has moved you, if you've learned that sometimes the truth hurts, but the lies hurt worse, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe and drop a comment telling me what this story meant to you, because the final chapter will show you that even the most broken families can become whole again." 5 years after the revelation, I was sitting in a television studio in New York City. Emma and Daniel were beside me. We were guests on a major morning show, talking about our story, the podcast, and the book we just published. Family Redefined: How We Survived the Impossible and Found Each Other Again. The interviewer, a warm woman in her 50s, leaned forward. "Sarah, looking back now, do you have any regrets about how you handled telling them?" I thought carefully. "I regret the pain it caused. I wish I'd taken more time, found professional help, handled the revelation with more grace. But do I regret telling them? No. Secrets that big don't stay buried. They would have found out eventually, through genetic testing for their children, through a random ancestry DNA test, through some cosmic coincidence. And finding out later would have been catastrophic. Emma, Daniel, do you agree?" Emma nodded. "My mom gave us a gift disguised as devastation. She gave us truth. And truth, even painful truth, is better than lies." Daniel added, "We talk about this on the podcast a lot, how honesty is the foundation of healing. If my biological mother had kept quiet, if she'd let us get married, we might have had children with increased genetic risks. We might have lived our whole lives with this secret eating at us. Instead, we got to process it, work through it, and build something new, something better. And what is that something?" the interviewer asked. Emma and Daniel looked at each other and smiled. Family, they said simultaneously. Not the family we planned, Emma continued, but the family we chose. Every person in our orbit now is there intentionally. We've built something beautiful from something broken. After the interview, we went to lunch at a restaurant overlooking Central Park. Rebecca and Chris joined us, and Marcus flew in from Dallas to meet us there. Over pasta and wine, Marcus raised his glass. I want to make a toast to Sarah for having the courage to tell the truth when lying would have been easier, to Emma and Daniel for surviving that truth and transforming it into something meaningful, to Rebecca and Chris for loving our complicated children and becoming part of this impossible family, and to all of us for proving that family isn't about perfection. It's about showing up. Here, we all said, clinking glasses. Daniel's phone buzzed. He looked at it and smiled. Jake just texted. He got engaged. He wants us all at the wedding. All of us? Emma asked. All of us. He said, and I quote, "You guys taught me that family is whoever shows up and keeps showing up. So I want everyone there." Rebecca laughed. This family just keeps expanding. That's what families do, I said. They grow, they change, they adapt, they survive. Emma reached across the table and took my hand. Thank you, Mom. For everything. For giving me life. For giving Daniel life. For being brave enough to tell us the truth even when it made us hate you. For never giving up on us. I could never give up on you, I said through tears. Either of you. You're my children. That doesn't change just because the circumstances are complicated. Speaking of children, Chris said, grinning at Emma. We have news. Emma blushed. We were going to wait to tell everyone together, but since we're all here, we're pregnant. The table erupted in congratulations and tears and excited questions. Due in July, Emma said. We already know it's a girl. We're naming her Sarah. I couldn't speak. I just cried while everyone hugged me and Emma and Chris. And, Daniel added, smiling at Rebecca, we're adopting. We've been approved for the adoption list. We wanted to give a child the kind of chance Sarah gave me. A loving family, a fresh start, an open adoption where they'll always know their origin story. More crying, more hugging, more joy than should be possible in one lunch. Later, walking through Central Park, just Emma and me, she said, Do you remember what you told me that day in your office? When you first told us about the DNA results? I remember all of it. You said we couldn't fix it. That some things are just broken. But you were wrong, Mom. We did fix it. Not by going back to what it was, but by building something new. Something better. You fixed it. You and Daniel. All I did was tell you the truth. No, you did more than that. You kept showing up. You kept loving us even when we pushed you away. You kept hoping even when there was no reason to hope. You kept believing we could survive this. And because you believed it, we started believing it too. We walked in silence for a while, watching families play in the park. Parents pushing strollers, kids chasing each other, teenagers taking selfies, elderly couples holding hands. I used to think family was simple, Emma said. Mom, Dad, kids. But our family is you and Daniel and me. It's Marcus and his wife and kids. It's Rebecca and Chris. It's the support groups and the podcast listeners and the people who've reached out to tell us their stories. It's messy and complicated and unconventional. But it's ours. Yes, I agreed. It's ours. That night, lying in my hotel bed, I thought about the journey we'd been on. From that first day in Emma's kitchen to this moment, 5 years later, all the pain and grief and anger and slow, painful healing. I thought about the young woman I'd been at 17, giving up her baby because she had no other choice. I thought about that baby becoming a man I'd find again, in the most impossible circumstances. I thought about my daughter, strong and resilient and capable of transforming tragedy into purpose. And I thought about the family we'd become, not despite our complications, but because of them. My phone buzzed. A message in our family group chat, the one with all 14 of us. Daniel, love you all. Thanks for being my weird, impossible, perfect family. Emma. Same. We're ridiculous, and I wouldn't change a thing. Marcus. Grateful for all of you. Every day. Rebecca. Best family I could have married into, and I mean that. Chris. You guys set the bar impossibly high for what family should be. And then, one by one, everyone else chimed in with their own messages of love and gratitude and appreciation for this strange, beautiful thing we'd built together. I typed my response. You taught me that family is what we choose, not just what we're born into. You taught me that love can transform, that broken things can be made beautiful, that honesty, even painful honesty, is always better than comfortable lies. You taught me that I don't have to carry the weight of our story alone. We carry it together, and that makes all the difference. I love you all. Forever. Emma sent a heart emoji. Daniel sent a crying, laughing face. And then everyone was sending emojis and gifs and inside jokes I didn't totally understand but loved anyway. This was my family. Complicated, unconventional, born from tragedy and transformed into something beautiful. This was what happened when you chose truth over comfort. When you chose healing over hiding. When you chose each other, over and over again. Even when it was hard. Especially when it was hard. The next morning, before flying home, I met with a woman who'd reached out through the podcast. She was 17, pregnant, considering adoption. She wanted to meet me, to ask questions, to understand what came after. We sat in a coffee shop, and she looked at me with eyes that reminded me of myself at her age. Scared, overwhelmed, trying to make an impossible decision. Does it ever stop hurting? She asked. If I give my baby up? I thought about lying, about telling her what she wanted to hear. But I'd learned that truth, even painful truth, was better. No, I said gently. It doesn't stop hurting. It changes shape, becomes something you learn to carry. But it never completely goes away. So I'll regret it forever? You might. Or you might not. You might feel both things at once. Regret and relief, grief and gratitude. Both things can be true simultaneously. What should I do? I can't tell you that. No one can. But I can tell you this. Whatever you choose, make sure it's your choice. Not your parents' choice, not your boyfriend's choice, not what society expects. Your choice. Because you're the one who has to live with it. She nodded, processing. Can I ask you something? If you could go back and change your choice, would you? I thought about Daniel, about Emma, about the family we'd become, the healing we'd found, the purpose we'd discovered, about my granddaughter-to-be named Sarah, who would carry my name into the future. No, I said honestly, because my choice, as painful as it was, led to this, to a man who's making a difference in the world, to a family that's redefining what family means, to a story that's helping others. If I changed my choice, all of that disappears, and I can't wish that away, even to avoid the pain. She was crying now. That's what I needed to hear. Thank you. After she left, I sat in that coffee shop for a long time, thinking about circles and how they close. How I'd started this journey giving up a baby at 17, and here I was, decades later, helping another 17-year-old navigate the same impossible choice. My phone buzzed. Emma. Flight home, okay? Baby Sarah and I miss you already. I smiled and typed back, flying home now. Give baby Sarah a kiss for me. Love you both so much. On the plane, I looked out the window at clouds and thought about truth. How it cost everything and gives everything back. How it destroys and rebuilds, how it's the foundation of every strong thing we ever build. I'd called my daughter crazy once, or rather, she'd called me crazy for insisting on that DNA test. And maybe I was crazy. Maybe we all were. But sometimes crazy is just another word for brave, for honest, for unwilling to let comfortable lies destroy the people you love. My daughter had called me crazy, until the DNA test proved her husband was my long-lost son. And then everything changed. Everything ended. Everything began. We'd survived the impossible. We'd walked through fire and came out transformed. We'd lost everything and found something better. We'd become family, not by blood alone, not by law alone, but by choice, by showing up, by telling the truth, by loving each other through the hardest things. And that, I thought, as the plane descended toward home, was the most beautiful kind of family there is. If this story has touched your heart, if you've learned that truth and love and family are more complicated than we pretend they are, do me a favor. Subscribe to the channel. Share this story with someone who needs to hear it. And drop a comment telling me what city you're listening from and what this story meant to you. Because these stories, these impossible, painful, beautiful stories about how we survive the unsurvivable, they connect us all. They remind us that we're not alone, that others have walked through fire and survived, that broken things can become beautiful, that family is what we choose, over and over again, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being part of this journey. And remember, sometimes the hardest truths are the ones that set us free.